Senator McCain.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, this is Russ Clark. How are you, sir? I'm doing well. Hey, I want to warn you.
Fine, Russ. Is Russ Jones there with you?
That's what.
Oh boy, you have good intel.
That's what.
Happy New Year.
That's what I wanted to warn you about.
Happy New Year to both Russes, and I'm glad to chat with you. As you know, I'm in Kabul and here in Afghanistan, and we just came from Baghdad in Iraq and headed to a couple other places. And I'm telling you, being around these young men and women in the military, whenever you get a little depressed when you hear about the C-SPAN cameras not being in on the healthcare negotiations.
Well, God bless you. You're doing God's work.
I just want to tell you that they are doing a great job, and the surge, I think, is going to work here. Tragically, we're going to have an increase in casualties, but I think we can do the same thing we did in Iraq.
Senator, I actually knew you were in Iraq, and I know you're in Iraq because I went on the internet and Googled your name, Senator John McCain, Arizona, and I got your Twitter page, your YouTube page, your Facebook page. You're about as connected as you must have wires running down your sleeves by now.
By the way, I'm in Afghanistan right now in Kabul. But you know, we have 1.7 million people who follow us on Twitter. It's an amazing way of communicating, and you know, that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it that I think is compelling is the demonstrators in Tehran when they were being beaten and killed by those thugs that run that country. They were twittering and all over the world. It's amazing what they've been able to do to communicate. We should support all of them.
The country has done all they can, and Ahmadinejad has done all they can to shut that down, and they have been unsuccessful, I guess, at shutting it down completely.
They haven't been successful, thank God. We ought to speak out more, and I wish the president would speak out more on their behalf.
I want to talk about, and you mentioned healthcare at the start, and the fact that there's no C-SPAN cameras in there, and you know, when President Obama was running against you, that was one of his deals, that C-SPAN was going to be there. He's going to do things different. We're going to be more open. And you've been around a long time, Senator. Have you seen anything that's more open at this point?
I have not seen anything more closed that was a major reform, and there has never been a major reform that wasn't bipartisan. And look, I understand that people exaggerate and say things during campaigns, and so do you all. Yeah. But, you know, for him to say that he was going to have the C-SPAN cameras in the room, that it would be bipartisan, and that there would be, he said that the American people could find out who was on the side of the pharmaceutical companies and who was on the side of the American people. Well, you know, they cut an unsavory, outrageous deal with the pharmaceutical companies against the American people, and so now they're doing it behind closed doors, and nobody's going to know what goes on. So if people are a little cynical about us in general and this administration in particular, they have every reason to be. They should be outraged.
You know, Senator Pelosi just was asked about the C-SPAN thing. She commented, there has never been a more open process for any legislation. And I don't understand how they can get away with making comments like that when even their constituents have got to know that's not true.
Well, I understand in that part of California they have medicinal, you know, they have strange habits, and all I can say is, you know, I mean, please, look, this is the most closed, most partisan process I've ever seen, and as you know, I've been there a long time.
Sure.
And again, it's the only major reform that's ever been worked on that wasn't bipartisan. And well, by the way, we're not giving up. We're going to fight this thing. I think Russ Jones, you might remember back years ago, we passed a thing called catastrophic health insurance, and the people rose up and we repealed it. Yes. So I'll never quit on this fight.
Yes, and I'm glad to hear that, Senator. We need you there for this. Yeah. A question on Gitmo. Right now, and I know you're in a tough part of the world right now in Afghanistan, but we've recently had some problems with this underwear bomber and Yemen connection. And Gitmo, I didn't realize it, but it has 92 Yemen citizens in there, people from Yemen. And I know the president wanted to close it and turn them loose, and he's going to stop. What should we be doing with Gitmo right now?
Well, I think we should close Gitmo because of the symbology. But let me just hasten to add, I would have had a policy. I would have had a place to put these detainees. I would have had a situation, by the way, probably not in the United States of America. But the most important thing is that they decided to put this guy on civil trial. And you know, the information that I have is that they were getting information from him until he got lawyered up. Now he won't say anything. Who is he connected with? What's his connections with Al-Qaeda? Who else was in on this with him? We don't know, because they decided to put him on civil trial. He should be before a military commission. And you know, as you know, Senator Lieberman Graham and I wrote a letter to the president some time ago saying, don't send any of these people back to Yemen. I think finally they have agreed. Those people should not go back to Yemen. They go back to Yemen and they go back in the fight. We can't expose our young men and women in the military to that kind of danger.
Yeah, but how do we explain to folks where you're in Afghanistan and you're there with our young men and women, and that they're over there in harm's way and doing this great work for this country and making great sacrifices, and yet they back here in the administration, this isn't a war. There is no war against terrorism. It's all police action. It's a criminal activity as opposed to terrorism. And how do they somehow? I mean, it's just amazing to me we have this disconnect between how they're treating it here domestically from what the international reality is. I mean, what kind of denial are we in, and why?
Russ, I can't explain a lot of it, but when they drop the words war on terror, when they blame the Bush administration for whatever goes wrong, when they decide to try this individual, I mean, who, you know, came very close to a major disaster, try him in civil court, send detainees back, plan to send detainees back to a country where they're going to enter the fight. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. And by the way, you know, they say that, you know, that the president said on this Christmas bomber, we're going to hold people responsible, but not play the blame game. Yep. What does that mean? You know, where you and I come from, and a lot of people who live around Yuma, my friend, when somebody's responsible, they lose their job.
Yes.
You know?
Well, of course, Janet Napolitano, our former governor, had something to do with leading this whole TSA and all that, and she came out initially and said everything worked.
Yeah.
And I think people have changed that now.
Well, I think one other point is, you know, how was it that the British figured it out and weren't going to give this guy a visa, and yet we were? And you know, when a guy goes and up to the ticket counter and pays cash and has no luggage,
and he's going on a 2-week vacation, right?
Yeah, I mean, to Detroit. So, I mean, you know, something might say, "Hey, wait a minute here. We might want to check this guy out." But you know, and again, the Fort Hood guy. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. Or certainly, let me say this, it appears to me as if political correctness played a role in letting that guy get as far as he did. This is no time for political correctness. We can't allow people on a military base in the United States of America to have that happen. But listen, I'd like to give you an up note here. These men and women, and I meet with ones from Arizona all the time, are the best in America. The leadership is the best. This General McChrystal over here is fantastic. And they're really great. They're outstanding Americans, and they're the best we've ever had.
Is Afghanistan cooperating with us now on this terrorism that's happening on the east side of their country?
Yeah, largely. It's and so are the Pakistanis, but it's tough. Listen, guys, I got to go. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Take care.
It's great to be with you, and I'll see you down in Yuma, and Russ, and it's great to be with you again.
Take care.
All right, Senator.
Okay,
Bye-bye.